Marquette. The final here, Marquette 62, Villanova 55, and Marquette are the Big East Conference tourney champs of season 5. And shout out to them for their grind.
Welcome, everyone, to the Golden Eagles Nest podcast. I'm your host, as always, Rusty Fields, and with me, of course, is Mr. David Ware. How's it going?
What's going on, Rusty?
Oh, mid-season already. I was just talking about that earlier. It's amazing we're already here. 4 games in, 4 to go, and then we hit conference play.
Yeah, it's crazy. We do got All-Star break in between. We got to try to get some Golden Eagles in there on that one.
Absolutely. Definitely a lot to talk about here on our podcast today. Why don't we just go ahead and kick things off with our favorite time, our Iggy Spotlight Player of the Game for a week.
Yep.
This week we have Mr. William Groves, our shooting guard. He started off as a progression green, and now he's a progression blue. I think he joined recruiting kind of late, and I was at the point I was just trying to reach out to everybody. I didn't know him at all, and a pretty good conversation. He decided to join us here at Marquette, and I didn't know what to expect from him, but he's super active. He was always in streams, and I think he was one of the first 5 players to get a blue chip just from watching the streams, and so he's been a big part of our program. His nickname's Playoff G because of his conference play. I think he had like 15 points against Notre Dame, and then like 9 or 10 against Georgetown, and had a good game against Nova. Just out of nowhere, because he's not the highest overall player, fills his role, but that playoffs, he just went off. And definitely excited to see him here in his junior year. Be a big-time player for us.
Yeah, so you said in conference he did really good. And what was that one game that you said he did really good? Was it Georgetown?
Georgetown, he had a nice game there.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. I mean, it's always fun beating Georgetown, you know?
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely get into that a little bit later. You know the schedule, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still got another team to talk about, but William Groves, just say one more thing about him. Glad to have him back returning for his second season with us. What do you guys say about Mr. G?
Oh, I love him. He's a good playmaker on the court. He's fun in the locker room. And, he's a good guy. But he's definitely watching his game develop and grow, and it's fun for sure. He's a good young guy that I can't wait to see where he escalates and watch him get into the pros.
Definitely, that's always our goal here: ship our Eagles off into the pros. Hopefully, get them a trophy or 2 on the way. But so William Groves, again, thank you for your service, but. He had a good game against Pitt. Showed up. Let me bring up the actual player box scores here. Groves, just last game, just to spot him out. In our game against Pitt, he had 7 points with 3 for 4 shooting and 4 assists. That shows his playmaking off the bench, being responsible for 17 of our 94 points. We won 94-72 in Pitt, the L in their first conference play. And you can see the box score here. A pretty dominating performance all around.
It was. I think the score kind of makes it look closer than what it was, and that's not a disrespect to Pitt whatsoever. I just feel like a lot of things went our way in that game, and I mean we had everybody was contributing, whether it was assist, moving without the ball, which really helped open it up. Our defense was amazing. I mean, it was a good game, for sure.
Absolutely, run down the stats a bit. But who could guess this guy was at the top? David Ware, 18. What the heck?
Yeah, that was fun. That was nice to see every now and then.
Yeah, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Very good stat line. 4 3-pointers, which is a Marquette record with 10 other guys, but still, 4 3-pointers. It's a good bit. Helix Myers, with his first start of the season, 16 points, 7 rebounds, an assist, and a block. Baz Holmes Harris had 15 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Great efficient shooting by him. Rick Pierre had a good game offensively, 13 points, 5 assists, and 2 steals playing against Kai Williams. And then, let's see, Ricky Vance, he came off the bench, 8 points, 2 rebounds, and assists. Smith with 8 points, 2 assists. Isak, 7 points, 15 rebounds, a steal, and 3 blocks against Bo Diddle. Shot 3 of 3 against him. Huge performance by him.
And opposite of Gleasack, Diddle had 4 points and 4 rebounds. And Diddle by far is one of the best centers in the league. And he held him to 4 points and 4 rebounds.
I hope people are watching. I know we don't have a Defensive Player of the Year award, not right now, but I think Gleasack's right up there with one of the best defensive players.
For sure.
And rounding off JB Hook with his average of 2 points, 3 rebounds, assist. He did get a couple blocks, and then Daniel James, he had only 3 rebounds, but a lot of defense, definitely securing our unit there. How's our game against Pitt?
Yeah, it was a good one. It was fun. And we had 3 non-conference games, just like everybody else. And you've always got your people who will say we're an okay team. What was that word, Rusty, that someone tried using?
Oh, I don't know. There's a lot of words used.
I mean, kind of like pretty much like we're an average team that can make a few nice plays every now and then is pretty much what we were compared to, as we were number 7 in the coaches poll, number 5 in the Ware Force Power Index after week 3. So going into the game, we had a lot to prove while we were as ranked as high as we were, and I felt that game was a good statement game to move forward with why we are who we are.
I think so. I think a lot of people knock us for our strength of schedule, and even the Ware Force ratings, it's a bit lower. Only so much we can do about that. All we can do is play whoever shows up and try to put a whooping on them. But,
I've heard this week our opponent may not show up. I've heard that they've got some reservations about the game, maybe.
Huge game. This is the biggest game of the season for me. So we'll talk about it. As the Marquette coach, I was actually a part of this team in season 3. I left them to come to Marquette, which split there of our biggest rivalry in all of CSBA, I would say. You don't know who I'm talking about. It's the Georgetown Hoyas. And with us, we got our head coach, Iron Man, KT Murphy, and their assistant coach, Rylock, also known as David Farmer. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's been fun listening to you talk about your schedule last week for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And before we get into talking, I want to show this great graphic that Coach KT made for the game, so everyone could see. Her graphics are amazing. I like to give her credit for that. So thank you for that great graphic, and thank you for sharing it with us.
Absolutely. I mean, a game like this, I like giving as much publicity as we can.
Yeah,
sure.
This is a big one.
Yeah, we haven't done games of the week this season, but I feel like if we were, this has to be one of those games that in that category for sure.
Yeah, definitely a contender.
We're in conference play, so everybody's got a lot of rivalries, a lot of big games coming. But I think this game really is going to define the pecking order of the Big East, because Georgetown, in our game last week, managed to take down one of the 2 undefeated Big East teams at this point. We managed to put up good work against Providence, so we are trying to maybe get to that place where we can take out both of the undefeated teams in the Big East.
Well, that would be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, to you against Providence, that was kind of the darling of the CSBA. Everyone loving them and their performance. You guys came in and put that down.
I mean, we set out to meet them where they were playing, and we did a great job of that. Held one of the best centers in the league, in Emmanuel Blackman, to 10 points. So as staunch as Dan Gleasack is, I think maybe there is a world where Aspen Hemlock is in that conversation as well.
Oh, yeah. Aspen Hemlock, rising star. Definitely have a little bit of a special feeling for that guy. But...
Yeah, just a little.
Maybe some personal bias.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I followed them closely during high school.
A little invested, yeah.
Yeah. Those that don't know, this Georgetown Marquette rivalry goes so deep. My Aspen Hemlock is actually my girlfriend. Of course, she had to join my biggest rival, so definitely a lot on the line for this game. Me personally.
Yeah, and last season when Rusty looked at me and he says, if you ever get a coaching gig, just don't get it in the Big East. And Georgetown falls into my lap. I'm not turning that down.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Katie. Why don't you talk a bit about your CSBA career so far and coaching Georgetown?
Yeah, I started off at UConn. I learned a lot of things there. Got to see my player actually play for a season. And this season, when I was offered Georgetown, we came in and we had a mindset on trying to keep very specific ideals that were passed on, from previous teams. So we wanted to keep as many of our members as we could. And it's helped tremendously in our season. Been a lot of the reason we've had the success that we've had. We've been able to keep most of our players from season 5, and we've been real successful as far as using them in big moments so far.
Really, and Armor, what about you? Go ahead, say.
Well, I was just gonna say we've definitely got some big departures because Mojo Rising is definitely in the argument for one of the best, if not the best, point guards in the entire league. So it was not a trivial departure by any means, and I'm super happy that Dawson Black was able to head back to West Virginia. J-Rock Mangham found a great home in Oregon, but we did keep a lot of key pieces, and so I think there was a huge perception that we were going to have a step down this season, and I have been enjoying the fact that we've been able to prove that that's very much not the case.
Yeah, I mean, we still follow all those players and their successes, and we root for them. But we're also really happy with the place we're at right now.
Yeah, I think Farmer. I think you made a great point. Going into this season, I could say I personally felt this when I wasn't the only one. Losing the pieces that you lost, rebuilding, wasn't really thinking that you guys would be on the same tier as you are just because of the learning curve. We knew you'd get there, but I think you're well ahead of the learning curve from what I expected.
I think that a lot of people might have misunderstood the circumstance with which Katie came to the team. It wasn't that this was something that was that was handed randomly as just next in line. We had a recommendation that Katie was the person to take this team. She showed through the work she put in at UConn and what we got to see behind the scenes that she had the basketball knowledge and the ability to put everything together in a way that earned my respect. So we went and said we'd like this to be our next coach, and it happened that way.
Yeah, I had a question that was going to be similar to that with the process. You had 2 great coaches in Pax and Toy at Georgetown. I have Katie. How is she different from them and, in game planning and whatnot?
I mean, it's definitely big shoes to fill. Pat's he's pretty much a legendary dude around here, right? And Toy following him. So yeah, I guess. But they left Georgetown in a healthy position. The couple, as things have transitioned down, and having Rylock has really helped with that too, because he's familiar with almost every piece on this team. So us combining the two of our brains here, it's just worked out really, really well.
And as somebody who's seen how the sausage gets made, it definitely feels very much like the same kind of process. I think maybe some of that has to do with the fact that we just like our mad science around here, and we're willing to tinker and try things, see how they work, and that's kind of always been a thread. The more you can try and innovate, the better you're going to find what works and what doesn't.
Absolutely.
For sure.
So
So I'm just gonna say y'all have gelled really well so far.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, go ahead.
I was gonna say definitely, like you say, you guys are 2-2 on the season. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that if circumstances had played out a little bit different, that we could have even been a little bit further ahead on that. We had asked for the tendencies on our old system players, and we were delayed for until week 4 in getting them. And with those tendencies, I think we could have probably even been better off than we are right now. One of our players was, we thought, in a good place. Tendencies weren't as great. We've got it fixed. And if we have the opportunity, I mean, I wouldn't mind giving a shout out to Dustin Sparrow, who's going to take a big step forward here, I think.
Oh, yeah, Dustin Sparrow. Definitely like him. Slipped through my fingers recruiting him to you guys. Shout out to him. I definitely enjoyed my conversations with him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's just say he had a big game last week. He actually shot perfect from the field and still managed to score 23 points. So I mean, just that small, what felt like could be a small change turned out to be huge against Providence for us.
We are hoping to put together a little bit of a campaign saying that week 4 and on, you might want to keep your eyes open and consider Sparrow for maybe some of those postseason nods.
I definitely love to see that. Always love people campaigning for their own team, trying to get some awards. Sparrow jump in his second season with you all. Be interesting to see, just the construction of your guys' team, especially the big men. That's obviously what stands out with your 3-center look.
Yeah, and it's really what's the 3 huge people we fought for this offseason, in trying to retain that, because it gives us a lot to work with. You can just see that by looking at our game last week. We moved around our big men, and that's the reason for the win. And they've just been a huge pillar for us to be able to fall onto.
And especially here in the Big East, the Big East as a conference has an identity for strong bigs. Between Gleasack and Hook, between Bo Diddle, Blackman, Novacek, Jammerhammer.
Sorry, who's Hook?
Yeah, I was shocked you said that.
I was being courteous. Hook will get there.
Wow.
I mean, the omission would have said more than the inclusion. So.
Well, Hook's had a learning curve in college. I don't know. Hopefully, you can get things figured out. I don't know if this is the week.
Well, probably not, but it's one of those where in a group like that, to have Hemlock, Medici, and Sparrow to fall back on, as well as Slim at power forward, is just an immense boon for trying to win in this hard conference.
Sure. And definitely some flexibility of lineups, something that I've traditionally not really had at Marquette, really. But the season's different for us. Only looking to try to find some kind of little curveball. Last season, I tried it with Jim Bob at center. The Bob Gambit didn't really work out that game, but
yeah,
definitely one of the more iconic game plans I came up with, even in a loss.
For sure. I mean, the nice thing is that you have always fairly historically had a glut of great small forwards that you've had a great crop that allows you to move pieces around and try and attack. Marquette is known as an identity for utilizing their 6-man better than most teams. I think it was, season 4 6-man of the year was Darius Martin?
Yes, he was.
So you always have that pedigree of making sure that you try and use that to your advantage. It's a little bit different because at this point, a lot of your weaknesses kind of line up with our weaknesses. So trying to push in interesting, creative ways runs the risk of it backfiring.
As always, it's a great chess match, of course, every week.
The basketball chess.
Yeah. In reality, we could, if this was real, real, you can always set up like, hey, just guard that guy no matter what.
Right.
But not the case here. It's definitely some planning you gotta make.
Yeah, tell him not to guard Hook.
Yeah. We were going over what possible different lineups that you guys could roll out, and we see about 5 or 6 possibilities. So, if they do this, if we could do that, but if they don't do that, oh boy, or or we can exploit this as long as they make that. So it's gonna be fun. And what's dangerous about Georgetown, Rusty, they got 5 players who are averaging double digits in scoring right now, with a 6th player at 9.3 points per game, and you might know that 6th player pretty well.
Yeah.
Rusty looks like he has no idea.
Is that Aspen?
Aspen has 9.3 points per game.
Yeah, Aspen has taken a huge step forward. All of a sudden, he has become the captain and just has a little bit of ball dominance issues that didn't used to be there when Mojo was there.
Yeah, Murphy apparently isn't enough dominance for him, so he'll be the point guard for us most of the games.
That's funny.
It really has been. We've just watched this kind of emerge over the course of this season, and we've had to adapt because as this sophomore season has grown, Hemlock has just shown confidence and a willingness to just make things work in ways that we have to adapt to.
We say Aspen does Aspen things for Aspen reasons.
Yeah, definitely an interesting player. Just on the court is funny to watch him.
Yeah.
Such a personality.
Aspen is maybe one of the goofiest players in the CSBA, which I'm absolutely here for.
Yeah. Speaking of, who we have a guest appearance.
Let's go. Is it my Aspen?
Let's go. It is.
Hey. We were just talking about you.
We were. All nice things, we promise.
Your ears were burning. Let's represent.
Yeah. So, guest appearance here, of course. Like I said, Aspen Hemlock, live in person.
I look a little different in person. So
a little bit. Still goofy, but not quite the same tall, dumb-looking guy.
Yeah, and still takes the ball from Murphy.
Yeah, probably true.
Humor does wonders for my height.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Good timing for a special guest. Even got the repping the Georgetown shirt.
Let's go.
Neither one of us have the Georgetown shirt, so it's a good thing she showed up.
Yeah.
Hey, throw that on the floor. Thank you.
Nah.
I've got a Georgetown pennant, but that's about it.
It was perfect timing her walking in, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know. She was traveling today, too.
Yeah.
Managed to get here in time.
Somehow.
Not necessarily planned, but yeah. So, definitely a big matchup. Aspen, we're going to go against Dan Gleesack, who they have a little bit of rivalry with.
I mean, unless we set up a date with JB Hook.
We could. I don't know if we'll want that date.
I mean,
you probably don't, but we might.
Yeah, like a lot of this is.
We have a willingness to move people around.
Yeah.
Like we haven't run the same lineup I think once, maybe one time between 2 weeks out of between preseason to now. So it's we just are willing to meet the team we play with, really.
That's awesome to be able to do. You know, it'd be interesting to see, like we were talking about.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun chess match because, like, at this point, there's definitely a chance that y'all could try and bring somebody to the bench. Ricky Vance, your almost player of the year last season, definitely well deserved in the conversation despite his injuries. But he played fairly poorly off the bench against Pitt, and so you're gonna have to find a spark for that bench somewhere. Does David Ware go to the bench and Groves gets the start after a big game? Is it Shabazz Holmes-Harris that goes to the bench and Daniel James comes to the front? What are you gonna try and pull here, or do you just go with D. Smith, the point guard who's been running the bench, and see if you can get the spark through him? And we just get to play that chess of, well, if you do that, what do we do?
Go to the bench? I think you'd leave if I did that.
I mean, it's a conversation for y'all. The nice thing is we're at a place where we've got folks who are willing to play whatever we need from them. That at this point we don't really have starters so much as a team, and we're gonna just try and put the best 10-man lineup out there that we can to maximize our chance to win. We've had Sparrow come off the bench despite the fact that we've been trying to get him into a player of the year conversation because that was the place to attack. We've had Hemlock play the 4, which was weird, fun, but weird.
Almost backfired.
Yeah, Aspen took over that game, and our rotations literally never recovered. The rest of the game, our rotations were completely out of sorts. And it worked, but at what cost?
At one point, we had a small forward on Emmanuel Blackman. It didn't go, the way you would expect. It worked out for us, but it very easily could have just shot us in the foot.
And there was one point where we had Slim Watkins, Dustin Sparrow, and Mario Medici out there all together. So it was just like, what are we doing? And it was a lot. We were doing a lot.
It's Aspen's fault.
It was Aspen's fault.
The fun thing about it actually comes to game time, all the planning, it seems like sometimes just goes out the window, and a guy will stay in a whole quarter, and there's no coming up.
Farmer played that preseason game entirely fueled by spite. I
think Murphy had 5 minutes.
Farmer went for 23 minutes. He literally played 3/4 of the game just because apparently that's how it was going to go when he got fouled that many times.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I was yelling at Murphy to get back on the bench. So.
What was that, where?
We have seen quite a few games where the rotations have really kind of got out of whack lately. It seems like, it's interesting because I know we've had Eric Pierre match up against a center on multiple occasions.
I mean, the switches are just brutal.
One of Murphy's highlights is boxing out and getting the rebound and passing it to Aspen Hemlock for a 2.
Yeah, Murphy boxed out three of Providence's bigs, proceeded to shoot a quick pass to Aspen, who took a kind of fugly little mid-range jumper, landed it, and we all just went kind of nuts.
It was very reverse of what you would think.
Yeah.
I know I have quite the huge lineup you have, but we did run a tiny lineup once. Just had we had one center, 2 small forwards, and then our 2 point guards. D. Smith and Pierre are both out there. I only have 2 point guards. I just don't get it sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, 2K tries their best to get it where, given the minutes and how they need to share it around, things will happen. We've had at least a couple times where both of our point guards will be out there at the same time because apparently Quack needed a rest and it chose one of us instead of one of our greens to play shooting guard, and it's like, well, now we're here. We'll just deal.
And typically it would be Farmer, who's a shooting guard at point guard, and Murphy, who's a point guard at shooting guard, instead of the reverse.
Yeah.
Very entertaining indeed.
Very much so.
Well, Ware, how are you doing over there?
Yeah, I want to thank these guys, and this is a big rivalry. And I know, even prior to this season, for me, I wasn't in the Big East, and I didn't have a school that was really tied to a rivalry with Georgetown. But for some reason, me and Farmer have had a rivalry almost since day one, and I can't explain why.
I just need to tell you that the look he's given you, he definitely knows why there's a rivalry.
I mean, I feel like we have no reason to have a rivalry, but it's been there from the get-go. And
I think it's just kind of the history of it and the fact that like we've played for 3 straight seasons, and that you really just have a fondness for winding people up, and I'm one of those types that's just going to give it right back.
I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I don't have a clue.
Absolutely not. How could you?
Exactly. I'm glad you understand.
Always.
It's going to be fun for sure. I'm looking forward to it. And what better way to get a win against you than as a conference rival? So it'll be fun.
I mean, at this point, I think we are 4-1 against Marquette. Maybe 5-1. I think we've dropped 1.
And we're not going to talk about my record against Marquette personally, because we're not.
And that one's the one that's what matters the most, since you're doing the game plan. So
I mean, we'll let you think that.
Yeah, you go ahead. You go ahead and think of me like you thought of me, last season, and you'll see what happens.
Some new weapons, maybe for the better.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a tall, overly tan blonde man up there to be the captain now. So
yeah, he's definitely just doing his own thing most of the time, and it doesn't matter what I tell him to do. So I don't make game plans. I don't know what you're talking about.
You make them, but they're not followed.
Right.
If I put Aspen on the court, I don't make game plans.
Right. We have suggestions, we have guidelines, but it's no longer game plans.
We have a suggestion box. Aspen throws away nightly.
I think you've just I think Aspen has labeled the trash can as suggestion box.
I mean, that works.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but it's not gone terribly wrong yet. So we'll just keep letting him keep on. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, we have no explanation for it either. We've tried figuring it out. Like we can't pinpoint what it is and why it is that Aspen behaves. Why he behaves. It's not a tendency thing. So we just have to accept him.
Right. And embrace the chaos.
So different this season.
Yep. Midway through the season, still a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Aspen, why do you have? How do you feel about the season so far? Just a little bit. Just
I think we're doing pretty good.
And maybe I should ask, how do you feel about this next game?
Excited about it. I'm excited about our wager.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited to see you in Georgetown, and dog has joined us.
Yeah.
The dog knows.
Uh-oh.
The dogs. Rooting on the dogs.
Ask the dog who wins.
And, I'm excited to see this guy in a Georgetown shirt, the little Catboy profile picture.
Yeah. We got a profile bet going on. Always fun. And Katie Rylock, any final words you want to depart with?
I just appreciate the fact that we got the opportunity to come on here and talk some great Big East rivalry, and I hope you have fun game planning for all the fun we've cooked up for you.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely try to not ever go in, not ready for things. So, take that information as you will. Maybe simmer on it and overthink it, and let it hurt you a little bit.
Because really, well, we love you. We don't love you enough to not hurt you right now. So,
I always hear people say the biggest rivalries are actually built on love. So.
Absolutely, but we're definitely looking forward to destroying you ultimately with love.
As long as you're willing to be let down and understand that you will be let down, and that you have a source to vent and properly recover from such a letdown that you're setting yourself up for. I'm okay with your energy and excitement. I'm just looking out for you, though. I mean, I just want.
Is this something your therapist told you when you were telling her about the game?
And like the fact that you were scared and needed to hide on the bench?
I don't have to hide. Hey, I never have to hide. I promise you that much. I will match up against anybody any day.
Well, I mean, bring him all out on us there, Rusty, and we'll see what happens.
Farmer at the 2. I'll start where at the 2.
I will start at the 2 if Farmer will agree to start at the 2. I'll lock that in right now. If Farmer will start at the 2, I'll start at the 2. We'll do it. If you ain't scared,
we don't need to do it. Quack is perfectly fine to lock down Ware.
Oh, okay. Who?
I feel like you don't really care about him as a teammate, and it's nothing against him, but you are setting him up for failure with that statement.
I mean, according to my Sims, no.
Yeah, and the fact at this point that I do have a little bit of beef with Quack for being diet farmer with the stash and the fade, but we have a lot of respect for him despite the mild trademark issues, and we definitely think that he's capable of handling a player like Ware at the shooting guard.
It's good.
I mean, time will tell.
It's good to have confidence in your teammates. That's for sure.
Always.
Oh, I mean, I wish my team had confidence in Hook.
I mean,
well, you can't ask for too much, Rusty. Don't ask for too much.
Hook has confidence in Hook.
I have more confidence in my greens than I have in Hook. My greens have postered somebody. What's Hook done?
He had 16 points in the preseason game.
Yeah, but that doesn't count.
It matters to me.
Oh man, I mean, it does, and I believe that those 16 points in that preseason game was very important for him. So
it counts in his heart, but is not recorded in the stats.
Yeah, that's always why I hate preseason.
I know, right?
Games like that.
Farmer went off like crazy too.
Yeah, Farmer's great game just gone.
Yep.
Yeah, and everyone turned around in fantasy and grabbed all the high scorers, and now look at him. I fell victim too.
It happens. Happens to the best of us, but
oh no.
Thank you.
Oh no.
For joining us. Oh man. Fully hooked and having okay.
I like it being Rusty better than I did Ted.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
I'm sorry, Rusty. I felt like it had to happen.
You covered her Aspen up though.
I mean, we accept this loss for the Rusty moment.
No, anyway, after that, I don't know what happened to the show. Might be the last one.
You're outnumbered.
Yep.
I know, literally.
Surrounded.
Literally. But I wanna thank any final words by anyone before I wrap this up. any parting words where?
Well, as executive producer, you can't fire me. You might not want to join the show again, but I know I'm secure. So I'm good. I'm good. What about you, Rusty? Any final words?
Any last words?
You know,
Any final tears?
As your final episode of the Marquette Golden Eagle podcast.
Yeah, thank you everyone for watching. It's been a good 5 episodes.
It's been real.
It's been real. Me and JB Hook, we're going back to England. Like some EuroLeague and be done.
I'll give you your a lifetime supply of Chip the Hook cookies to take with you.
Ooh, okay.
And you can build your confidence and come back to college.
This episode is sponsored by Murphy Mart.
Yeah.
This episode's brought to you by Murphy Mart. Please check us out.
Now we're just messing around.
Yeah. I mean, might have a moment where we're all crying, Jordan. It happens sometimes.
Yeah.
You just gave him an idea.
This is the best of us.
Anyways.
Well, thank you guys very much for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having us.
Aspen, you guys for joining us. I'm just going to copy Ware. I'm going to pretend it exists. Thank you for joining the show. Definitely an honor to have you guys. I've been looking forward to this one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, y'all have a good night, and we will be back next week. And we'll have plenty of great highlights from another victory. So we'll see you guys next week.